Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a special edition of Live from My Mother's Basement. I've never said that in over 250 episodes of doing Live from My Mother's Basement, but this is really special because obviously we're not in the basement, we're not in my studio in California, no. We're on Quantum of the Seas cruise ship in the middle of the ocean headed to British Columbia. And I happen to be on the ship with one of my favorite entertainers, who I unfortunately don't get to perform with because I'm in the comedy club and he's here in this beautiful, I'd say Schooner's bar, but I'd like to call it the piano bar. We'll call it whatever he wants to call it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Kelly Goodrich.
Hello, everybody. Welcome out.
Thank you so much for coming down.
Great to be here with you.
We're starting off tonight's show wearing masks, and I'm going to let him tell you why and why we're going to take them off. Go ahead.
Well, we have breaking news, international spotlight news, and that is after well over a year in service, back in service with Royal Caribbean, as of tomorrow at 11 a.m., which starts a new cruise, the crew members no longer have to have masks on. So can we rip these off? Yes. Oh my gosh. And I don't know, speaking for most of my crew member friends, I'm sure we'll probably be putting them on by habit, but it's great to be out and finally totally free to intermingle with the guests.
As one of the fellow entertainers on the ship, it's been a hassle. We have to get tested. We get tested before we do my podcast. But I never really had to wear the mask unless I was getting on and getting off. I guess I'm considered a different type of a crew member.
You're very different.
Guest entertainer. I only come on once in a while. But I've done the protocol and I did everything that I was supposed to do, and I'm really happy for everybody, including the other entertainers, that now have to take that mask or can take that mask off and get back into what we were doing quite some time ago. This is a special podcast for me today because we're actually sitting in the middle of the ship. This is about the middle.
Yes, yeah.
And there are people walking around, milling around, getting off, getting on, going to see different types of shows. And I stuck my neck out a little bit and I said, you know what, I have to get Kelly on my show.
You'll regret that. You'll regret that.
Because not only is he a great entertainer, singer, piano player, he's just a great all-around good guy, and he's going to be on this ship for quite some time, and he'll tell us where it's going, where it's not going to go, and how much longer he has to stay on it. So let's go all the way back to the beginning. Where are you originally from?
Born and raised in East Central Ohio, actually, and moved to Florida 21 years ago. I was a mailman for 31 years.
Oh, see, and, you never know where this is going to go. Now, who would have known he was a mailman?
A mailman. And don't ask if I was a singing mailman. No, I sang at night.
Oh, man. A mailman in your hometown? Like
yeah, started out in my hometown and then moved to Columbus, Ohio for 9 years, and then to Florida for the last 9 years of my postal career. But I retired the day that they offered me this job with Royal Caribbean.
But 32 years as a mailman, that's like a huge career. Did you like retire and you get your pension?
Yes, can you imagine?
That whole 9 yards?
Yes, they send me money to stay the hell away.
Were you the mailman that walked up and down the street?
Yes, I was walking.
To, or you were the guy in the office?
My whole 31-year career, I was a walking mailman. Even when I transferred to Florida for the last 9 years, they had done away with most walking routes. I said, I need a walking route. And so I got one of the last ones. So, yeah.
It's so interesting because, you know, my first thought is, okay, this is an entertainer, he's been entertaining since he's 5 years old. And then you come to realize, no, he was a mailman and walking around for God knows how long.
Oh, I don't even want to think about it. It was, but it was just, you know, it was just a natural thing for me, you know, and now I'll see, you know, the letter carriers out on the street or the LLVs, the vehicles, and I thought, wow, I think I used to work there, you know?
Yeah.
It's gone. But, you know, a lot of people say, oh, so you took up piano after you retired? No, I've been playing my whole life. I was playing 5 and 6 nights a week the whole time I was working.
As a mailman?
Yeah.
So you're moonlighting as a musician?
Yeah. No, I was moonlighting as a mailman. Let's get that.
It's sunlighting.
Yeah, it's sunlighting.
You know, it's weird because now it's going to make me come up with these other questions that have nothing to do with entertainment.
Do you have mailman jokes?
No, not jokes, but it makes you wonder because now we have that thing on the doorknob I forgot what it's called.
Ring?
The ring.
The
And you
ring.
could see the mailman coming or the mail person
Yeah.
coming. And are they in uniform, not in uniform? Did they need a glass of water? Is it snowing? In the town I grew up in, everybody's very friendly. So everybody's really nice and friendly to the mail person. But then it makes you wonder what you see in a mail person today, because you watch the news and you get that guy from FedEx and he just throws the box. And did the dog ever come after you?
Oh, I got all kinds of stories like that. But the Postal Service has certainly changed. It's 12 years. It was actually September 24th that I joined Royal. And so I've been gone 12 years. And the whole scope of the mail service has changed drastically, according to my friends who are still there. They said, you got out at the right time. So.
No, really. I mean, is it really that much different? Is there a mail carriers union?
There is, but now what they're doing is they're using a lot more non-union labor part-time. And that takes away from having your regular mailman a lot. So back in the day, you used to have the same mailman all the time on the same route, and that's gone away pretty much.
Yes. See, I remember that. We knew the mail person's name. You knew where he lived.
Yeah,
You
I would
had
get-
your cookies waiting for him at Christmas.
Yeah, I would get calls at 9 o'clock at home. Hey, Kelly, I didn't get my check today. You know, well, let me check my jacket pocket. Just give me a minute.
This is incredible.
Oh dear, yeah. So
So
yeah,
the
it's
whole
been,
time you're working as a mail carrier, you were pursuing your career as a pianist. A musician. Do you play many instruments?
Yeah, I main instrument, of course, piano. I played drums for a number of years. But the nice thing about like I say, all through my career, I've played with so many great musicians, especially in the Ohio area. The little hometown that I came from was so chock full of bands, all self-taught, and it was just a great musical environment. But the unique thing about me was that my friends were mostly just career musicians, and they had to go out and play every gig they could possibly get for their income. You know, play the bar mitzvah, the wedding, the funeral, the country club salad set. You know, I could just play what I wanted to because I had a job. You know, and
Well,
that
yeah.
was the beauty of
Yeah.
it. And I even had second thoughts when I was offered this job with Royal Caribbean. I didn't know how I would feel doing it for a living. I always did it because I loved it, and it was, my day job I had, and then the night was just so much. And I didn't know how much I would enjoy that, just doing that, but that was not a concern at all.
Well, I got to tell
fantastic.
you, I watch you perform, and you're more than just a piano player. You are an entertainer. You make these people go wild. I've seen shows in the Schooner's bar. I've seen piano bar players, and everybody sits around the piano and they sing along, and they get a couple of things. But you're a show. I like directing too. I want to come in here with a bunch of cameras and shoot this as a show. Now I really want to shoot it as a documentary. The man who was a mailman becomes the highest paying musician on the seas,
dear
or
Lord.
something like that.
Oh, but the thing about the Schooner Bar is that if you could see this setup, it's like a living room, and I've never felt like I'm separated from the people. I come in here and I feel like I'm going into a real nice gathering of people. We're going to have a good time. And, I'm just going to play the piano and sing. I just feel I've never felt anything other than that, and I think that the people kind of pick up on that.
I've seen you do this many times, and the other night, I don't like to interfere. I don't want to come from my show and come in here and have anybody go, the comedian's watching the piano play. I always stand away for whatever my reasons are. And then I saw you dressed like Elton John, hiding in the wings.
Yeah.
And I'm like, would you look at this man? He's going to knock these people out.
I like an entrance. I like an entrance. So, and that's part of the madness is that each one of my tributes is in costume, and so I can't have a dressing room right here I can't go in shops over here and change my costume. So I always leave. I have a 10-minute lead of music before the music starts for my tribute. So I get everything set up here at the piano, and I push that button. Now in 10 minutes, my show's starting whether I'm here or not. So I have to go clear up to my cabin and make the change and get back down. But like with Elton John, it's a little shorter of a change time, so that's why I ran into you in the photo department. I'm back there hiding until I hear my music start. So, but yeah, it just creates a little bit more of a theatrical environment for the people, and they appreciate that.
You're a
for some reason. I
showman.
don't know why.
He puts on a show.
So,
And I can't believe you said Elton John was the easiest one. You figure
It
he might
really
be the most
is.
difficult one
No,
with all the costumes he had.
Elvis is the most difficult.
Oh, is that
You
right?
got the hair, the glasses, the scarf, the belt, you know. So making that one work sometimes is, you know, sometimes I'll get up there and the hair's standing straight up. Oh my gosh, you know, and I have to do my hair.
But when you were working as a mailman, most musicians on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday night don't want to get up the next day.
Oh, yeah.
They're staying out late.
Right.
You could be in a smoke-filled atmosphere back in the day.
Many
You could have
years,
been
many
blowing
years.
out your throat, and then it's Friday, or maybe you had to do some work on a Saturday. How'd you pull that off?
Oh, it's unbelievable, really, to look back and see how that really transpired. Because for 9 years, I worked with a very high-profile Elvis impersonator from Columbus, Ohio, and he was traveling all over the world. And so, but luckily, it wasn't, you know, weeks at a time. It was all one-offs, and so there would be, you know, a Friday night where I had to be in Phoenix, Arizona, you know, and work Saturday. And so I'd have to take the red eye back from Phoenix to Columbus, Ohio, and go straight to work. And many, many times I've come straight from gigs. You know, ask any of my coworkers.
Yeah, no, like 3 o'clock
Kelly,
in the morning.
you smell
then
like
you
smoke.
Or alcohol,
Oh, what? No.
or perfume.
Yeah. Oh, no, none of that.
Oh, mackerel. Okay,
Yeah.
so.
But yes, it was. Yeah, looking back and seeing how that, you know, I was able to keep a government job, and you know, the nice thing was, you know, speaking of the Postal Service, the 3 things I'm proudest of is getting, of course, the 30 years, the full. I worked the full career there. I had a 1,000,000-mile driving award, which I really, you know, I'm really proud of. I show that to the arresting officer every time I get pulled over now. Hey, listen. And I also I carried over the maximum amount of sick leave, so I used the minimum of sick leave you could use in 30 years, and so yeah, and just the little things, you know. I wanted to.
Who even thinks of that?
I don't know. Does it,
You know what I thought of right away when he was talking about the 1,000,000-mile driver award is how much fun was it to drive a vehicle with the steering wheel on the other
Well,
side of the Jeep?
the bad part was the first 5 years I was a rural sub in Ohio, and that means I was a substitute for the regular rural carrier. And my fellow Ohioans out there know we've got some rural roads, especially in Tuscarawas County, where I grew up. And so the route I was on was 79 miles long, and only 42 of it was paved. And of course, we had winters there. So, but you had to provide your own vehicle. So you were riding, you were driving like this over here on this side, and putting the mail out the window like this. Yeah. So
Where'd you get it from?
that's, but yeah, right. So that was, you know, driving a car like that was very interesting, and I did that for 4 years. So
We have to ask the $1 million
here
question
we go.
before we get into some music. Dog experience.
Oh, gee.
Somebody chase you. Did you get bit?
Yeah, of
Was it a
course.
German Shepherd like
Yes,
it usually
was.
is?
Yeah. Man. And the most memorable one was, and it was a German Shepherd, and I went to the door, and of course, you know where dogs are if you're working on a regular basis. So I knew this lady had a big dog, and so I knocked on the door and kind of stood back, and she just comes in, she opened the door wide open, and the last words she said, "Oh, don't worry, he won't." And then by that time, the dog had me by, if you look right here, I'm not going to mention, right here. Yeah, but no, dog bites were, yeah,
And then what do
that
you
goes
do?
with the
I mean,
territory. Well, technically,
spray
you're-
'em?
Well, if you had the time to, usually you don't get that much notice,
Wow.
But by technical terms, you're supposed to immediately get in your vehicle, go back to the office, go get checked. Listen, dog bites are dog bites,
Yeah, no, that could be painful,
I
and
know,
it could be scary, and it can make you not want to go back to work.
Well, and it can, if they have any rabid dogs, you're really in trouble. That wasn't a problem. So, it's all part, the elements. Oh my gosh, and the snow and, some great memories there you bring about. I'm going to back to therapy.
How'd you look in shorts?
I looked great, man. Walking 12 miles a day.
Shorts with those beautiful white hats that
Yeah, right.
and the big bag.
And,
I don't see them wearing that anymore.
No. They have air-conditioned vehicles now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, but no, I don't think they're air-conditioned. My fellow Floridians that are still out there carrying me, I'll tell you. The transition from Ohio weather to Florida weather was rather amazing in the Postal Service. It was
Yes.
in about 2 minutes out on the street, and you're just drenched. There's just nothing you can do.
I could imagine Florida in the summer, July, August. Where's my mail?
Yeah. One instance I do want to share with you, and I can say this now because I'm 12 years removed. I don't believe there's any charges can be brought against me. But the office I was working at in Inner Bay, actually in South Tampa, all the employees pretty well knew me, and my supervisors knew what I did at night and everything. So they were having a Chamber of Commerce luncheon where some of the higher ups from the Postal Service were coming in, and so they asked me, well, would you be willing to come and do entertainment? And I said, sure, So I checked with my supervisor, and she told me, I didn't tell her what I wanted up for. I said, can I get a couple hours off this one afternoon, get somebody to take a little bit of my route? She said, no, we're totally out of help. She says, there's no way I can get you any help. And I thought, wow, what am I going to do now? And of course, they wanted me to play in uniform, because it was a Postal
It's
Service.
sexy.
Yeah, really. So I thought, man, what am I going to do? So I actually put my keyboard in the back of my vehicle because the function was actually on my route. And so I put my keyboard in the back of my vehicle after I loaded on all my day's deliveries. And so I went out early as I could, got as much as I could done, went over to the venue and set up. And I played the 1 hour venue and took my lunch break and my breaks all together right there. So I was, at least time-wise, I was legal. But so here's my district supervisor. Here's the president of the Letter Carriers Union nationwide at this function. And here's me on the clock. Entertaining these people, doing songs like "Hey, wait a minute, Mr. Postman," and "Fly Like an Eagle," all postal themed. So, yeah.
I didn't know "Fly Like an Eagle" had something to do with the post office.
Well, that was their theme song for a number of years.
Oh, is that right?
That Steve Miller.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay.
And so
I get the Postman. That song I get.
Now, I know my supervisor's watching this because everybody in the world watches your podcast. And she's going to be saying, I wondered where you were at lunch that day. So anyhow, yeah.
It's a great story.
Yeah,
man.
so anyhow, lots of little asides. You have no idea.
So at night, you're going out, you're a musician, you're playing, you're hanging with the guys, girls, many different types of bands.
Yes.
When did you start? Ladies and gentlemen, so you know this, we're actually sitting at a piano in a bar. Now, there are some people out there who have no idea that we're doing what we're doing. However, they do know he is the piano player, and maybe they know I'm the comedian in tonight's show. I really don't even know. But this is really a trip. This is a lot of fun. So we're sitting behind a piano, and we're getting photo bombed right now.
We have to get that guy to sign off on that.
Yes. Did you get a COVID check?
That's my buddy Gary. He's all right.
Hello, Gary.
He'll sign off.
That's wonderful. I like that. So we're sitting behind the keys, and this is your instrument of choice, but
Oh.
you did say you play the drums. No, I play the drums every once in a while,
really?
but
Wow.
just as an exhibitionist, I'm really not into a band or anything. I like to see that I can actually do it, and I like to clown around. As an entertainer, I always wanted to be in a band, but I can't sing. I can't sing a note, and I could never play the piano. That's for damn sure. But you got into the piano. Were you the lead singer behind the piano?
What?
Like when you were in a band, when you
No,
were touring?
never,
No?
never. In fact, until I had moved to Columbus in, I think it was 1992, I was always in bands with really good singers. I had a good lead singer, and generally we'd have another singer in the band who could sing, a harmony part. So I was always left with the third part harmonies, and that's one of the things. We have the Las Vegas Tenors on with us.
Yes, they're great.
Here on board Quantum of the Seas, a fantastic trio. And my, growing up in a musical home, my interest was always in like a barbershop quartet, a trio, like that, singing the odd harmony parts. And so when I'd finally moved to Columbus, Ohio, I was used to, I had never sung lead. So by force of, if you're going to go out and do solo gigs and you're going to have some vocals, you're going to have to sing them. So over the years, it's just what you come to do. It just, you do it.
Vocally trained?
No.
Obviously, no. Play by ear?
Play by ear. I actually took piano lessons when I was back when I was in second and third grade. My dad was a trumpet player and wanted me to be a piano player, so he bought a $25 upright for the home and went out and enrolled me. And it lasted 2 years, and the teacher was teaching me classical songs and stuff I had no interest in whatsoever, so I just lost interest, and that's when I started playing drums. And I got in a band at school. I would have played keyboards, except my best friend was probably one of the best keyboard players in the world, classically trained, could just do everything. So until I graduated from high school, I was mostly a drummer.
Wow.
So
The drummer's usually behind the band, and then you got the lead singer who's in the front of the band. But as far as I'm concerned, the sexiest, the hottest person in the band is the guy who carries the music on the keys.
No, see, no, you're wrong. You're wrong there. No, here's the pecking order for girls who are out looking for guys in a band. Okay, here's the pecking order. Lead singer. No, look this up. Google this. I don't think it's not bad. Lead singer, of course, first. Then the guitar player, the bass player, the drummer, then the sound technician, the light tech. Yeah. Then the roadie that carries the equipment. Okay. Then the booking agent. All right. And then the guy who sells T-shirts out front, and then the keyboard player.
Oh, come on.
No, it goes right down like that.
Really?
Yeah, because all the others are pretty much free after the gig. It takes a keyboard player like an hour to tear down, then everybody's gone. So that's.
I never would have thought they would involve people who are not in the band. The lighting guy.
Lighting guy. The guy sells T-shirts. But no, it is.
But could you give me a discount on that T-shirt?
Yeah, right. Ask any keyboard player; they'll tell you the same thing.
I'm glad I'm the opening act.
I know, and the opening act is above the lead singer. Because you get to go out, while the act is on, So.
Well, you sit behind the keys.
Yes.
For hours when you come here on the ship to play in this Schooner's bar to entertain. A lot of people shout out, play my favorite song. I'm sure you got your favorite songs. I'm sure you got your favorite artists. So why don't you start off by telling us, if you could, who would be your favorite artist and what would be the favorite song from that artist?
Wow.
Or is that just way too much?
No, that's a fair question, and generally the demographics on these ships, and that's the thing. But it was the same even before I was on ships. Certainly Billy Joel, Elton John were my favorite piano players. But like I say, the demographic on the ships, I do a lot of Beatles, Eagles, Buffett. Just stuff like a mainstream 60s, 70s. That's right in the wheelhouse, for these Schooner bars. Now they do tell you when you get the job, they give you kind of an idea. Hey, you might need to do some Maroon 5 or
Who would tell you to do that?
Actually, they tell you that when you're hired.
Oh,
They
no
say
kidding.
They want you to touch on some of the, because you're going to get everybody in here.
Yeah.
But I always tell somebody asks for a current song, and I say, hey, nothing after 1975 here, which
See,
is
he's
kind
got-
of a joke.
yeah,
But,
nothing like being loaded with comebacks. I know what that's all about.
yeah, right.
So let me throw a curveball at you.
Yes.
This might not be a curveball at all, but I'm from New Jersey.
Yes.
Okay. Now, can I get a little Bruce Springsteen?
Oh, maybe.
Wait a minute.
little.
Wait a minute. Could I go even deeper?
No, what? Request a specific song?
Yeah. To start us off. No?
Probably not. But you can take a shot. Hey, this is live. Well, this is
not live.
This
This
is
is
off the
pre-recorded.
cuff,
Might not even be working. I love Bruce Springsteen, of course. I'm from New Jersey. I don't know if he's a favorite of yours. But his classic songs from, I would say, the 80s always made me happy. And I don't mean Thunder Road, but I like when he actually played the piano one day. I didn't even know he could play the piano. And he played that song, Thunder Road. Is it Thunder Road?
Yeah.
The beginning.
Yeah.
Can you give me that?
No. No. Can you give me a couple weeks? I'll have it for you.
Oh, wait a minute.
The funny thing is, can you guys out there? Well, it looks like they can hear
They
it.
said no.
Like I say, Springsteen is definitely one of the icons. But I'm ashamed to say that the only song, I've got 3 or 4 that I touch on once in a while, but the only one, and I had gotten so many requests for this, is "I'm on Fire."
Really?
Yes. Can you imagine that? They don't want to hear "Born in the USA." They don't want to hear "Thunder Road." They don't. I think they go down to the pub, and my good friend David's down in the pub, and he does a number of those. But yeah.
Wait a minute. Can you even do that on a piano? I'm on fire.
Let's see. Hey, little girl, is your daddy home? Does he go away and leave you all alone? I got a bad desire. Oh, I'm on fire. You take the verse.
I don't know the words.
Tell me now, baby, is it good to you? Does he do all the little things that I do? I want to take you higher. Oh, I'm on fire. It's a little early in the day.
Get this man a vodka.
Just like that. Yeah.
That is hilarious. I'm not supposed to be, but I'm laughing because he plays it so well. But the idea of the way that came out is fun. And let me tell everybody too, because they're so used to watching me host from the other side of it. But I'm over here because he needs his left arm to play that
Yeah,
way.
I play the left part of the piano. You're supposed to play the right part.
I hate my right hand don't do much. Wow, that was really fantastic.
Yeah, so, but of course, I get requests for everything, and a lot of times it becomes stump the piano player. They come in, play this song that was somewhere deep in an album, and I'm just, you don't know that, but for the most part, it's. They're pretty forgiving and they go along. But it's an always evolving repertoire too. I always tend to add things as we go, depending on what part of the world we're in. Like right now, we're coming into towards Victoria, Canada, where we'll actually start a new cruise tomorrow out of Vancouver. And we're heading for Hawaii and down to Australia, so that affects. I've got some Hawaiian songs that I'll do as we get to Hawaii. I've got a special Blue Hawaii Elvis presentation. I even have this. You don't know. I have a. I'm going to be doing a show with the orchestra in the afternoon on day 7, I believe, for Crown and Anchor members, which is our loyalty program here on Royal Caribbean. Anybody who's taken at least one cruise and joined this group will. So all the Crown and Anchor people are going to get a free concert in the theater. Myself doing Elvis with the orchestra.
Oh man!
And I've got a nice set of charts. I don't.
See, that's something that you would explain to, let's say, my audience. Now you just join the band, and everybody gets along, and anybody can play. But you just mentioned the word charts,
Yes.
which a lot of people not going to get that.
Right.
So, I understand it a little bit.
Yeah.
But you get to join, let's say, the orchestra.
Right.
That's like saying, here's some drumsticks, Mike, go play the drums in that band.
Right.
Sort of.
It's the most daunting thing I've ever been through because, like I say, I never learned to read music. I wish I'd have stuck with my piano lessons in second grade and just at least learned to read. But then I just took it all up by ear. And so you have to understand that we have a 9-piece, all of Royal Caribbean's of the Seas series have 9-piece orchestras. And so you have 2 trumpets, 2 saxes, a trombone, drummer, bass, guitar, and keyboard. Almost forgot that guy. And so you have to understand that when headline acts come on these ships, they'll show up on one day and they're going to do that show that night. So they have to have charts. They have to have musical charts so they can hand to these musicians so they can play their show. And so they have a 1-hour rehearsal in the theater during the afternoon. And so they give them all their charts for all their music. And they'll go through like, okay, this song begins like this, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's enough of that. Here's how it ends. Ba, 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 da, da, ba, ba. Okay, drummer does a fill, Okay, let's go to the next. In 1 hour, they put together a Las Vegas type show that looks like it's been together for years. And that's the talent of these musicians. They are so good at reading these musical scores that they're given. So I came upon a set of charts, and having worked in the Elvis industry for a number of years, I really wanted to do this. Now, my comfort zone is right here beside the focus gallery, okay, right here behind this piano where I'm safe. I am not real comfortable up there on a stage, but I'm telling you, the power of that orchestra playing is so dynamic that I lose place, because I play the piano and sing the Elvis part and have the wig on, which is really Elvis did but once in his life. He sat down and played piano.
But if you don't read the charts, how do you jump in?
I know the songs because of working 9 years with an Elvis impersonator, and I got to work with everybody who was still alive after Elvis died, which the Jordanaires, J.D. Sumner and the Stamps, Ronnie Tutt, the drummer who ended up with Neil Diamond, James Burton, the guitar player, the Sweet Inspirations who sang back up on Brown Eyed Girl. They sang for Elvis. I got to work with all those people, so I really learned Elvis music without having to read it by working with those people.
That's unbelievable.
So and these charts that I got, they were very close to the arrangements, but sometimes they would have like a horn part or a bass part that wasn't quite like I'd heard it from the people who really played it. So I would get together with that musician. I'd say, hey, okay, here, show me that chart. I want you to write down how that part goes. So I would amend those charts to reflect exactly what Elvis's arrangements were like. And so I ended up with 17 songs, which I'm really proud of, but I'd really like to see a much better Elvis impersonator to go up there, but I'm sorry, I'm all I have, so I have to go up there and play the piano and sing it. So
that's like 100% playing by ear no matter what.
Yeah, but it's almost like going in and working with a bunch of people who speak French.
Yeah.
I can't talk to them saying, can this note go?
Do they look at you crooked like, hey?
They kind of go.
Hey, come on, pal.
No. They're wonderful. I get a couple raised eyebrows now. And they go, what? But it's such a great thing, and it's like two cultures coming together. A non-reader and all these fantastic readers. But I know the parts by playing them so much. So it goes together. It goes together really, really nice. So.
Of course, everybody loves Elvis. They just had a big movie come out.
Yes.
Hopefully, it's reigniting that whole era of his music.
I get 3 more people at my Elvis shows now.
Do you like dressing up as Elvis?
I do, and the strangest thing about Elvis is, growing up, I wasn't an Elvis fan. I was more into kind of progressive rock era, like Vanilla Fudge, The Cream, Jimi Hendrix and stuff, because I was drumming. So, and I always thought that Elvis was a product of the music industry. I didn't realize how musical he was until I started working with these people who had worked with him, and to hear them, I traveled with the Jordanaires, who's his backup singers, on Ed Sullivan on his first appearance, on all his early performances, his movies, Gordon Stoker, Ray Walker, those guys were there with him, and they went. I did a tour of New Zealand with them, with the Elvis, Mike Albert, the Elvis impersonator I worked with from Columbus, Ohio. He's still out there doing it. Check him out. And he had a following in New Zealand, so we would fly down there, just me and him, and they would have a backing band. But I would get to hear the Jordanaires telling stories of actually working with Elvis, and how it was all about the feel of the song, and they would have to go over these songs over and over until he felt a song was right. And even if there was a mistake in it, he said, no, that feels right. But he knew what those people wanted to hear.
Yeah.
And then I got a whole new appreciation of Elvis. And so I say, every time I put that wig on and put those glasses on, that's my penance for not believing in Elvis from the beginning.
Well,
I'm having to serve time by putting that on.
I'm going to throw you a curveball
Okay,
again.
give it to me.
But this is not going to be a curveball now because you put on this particular show. We all have our favorite Elvis songs. Who actually, and I know Elvis sang this song, I think Sinatra sang this song, a lot of people sang this song. I would love to hear you sing it. You know, it's like the song they kind of sing when it's close to the end. I think My Way. Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
When this all died, we were trying to go meet you, but it was too busy.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
His fans.
At least I had one. He's got 30 right here. I did it my way.
Okay, well,
Or Falling in Love.
It Can't Help
I
Falling
Can't
in
Do
Love
It.
was his big closer.
Let's do a little of that.
Okay. So.
Do you do this in your show?
Yes, of
Yeah.
course. And thing with Elvis songs, so many Elvis songs, there's so many different versions of them. There's the live in concert, there's the original recording, and variations as they went along. And so his first, when it became a hit, was the slow version, but he always closed his concerts with the up-tempo version, because it was like everybody always wanted to hear that song. And so it'd be at the end of the show, he said, okay, let's just do that fast version and get it out of the way. But
I like the romantic version. Yeah.
wise men say only fools rush in, so I can't help falling in love with you. Lonely rivers flow slowly to the sea, darling, so it goes. Some things are meant to be. Take my hand, take my whole life too, for I can't help falling in love with you. Thank you very much.
Cool.
Thank you very much.
Do you do his voice when you do the act?
Yeah, when I put that on, ladies and gentlemen,
All right. Well,
I don't
we
try
got
to
we got to get a couple more songs.
Okay.
Before we hit that 55-minute mark. This is really
who's
great.
our
I love all the-
timekeeper?
I
Do we have
got you. I
somebody?
got you. I'm a big fan of Elvis as well, of course, and I like the upbeat tempos, but I love these romantic songs. I think he's getting ready to retire, isn't that what I heard? He's out in Vegas or something like that. But, geez, what would be your top Elvis song? Like of this genre, the mellow, romantic.
my gosh.
Too many, huh?
No, there are, but a couple come to mind, and one, I'm gonna have to come back and do another podcast because
might
we're
have to.
gonna run out of time. One of my favorites, and it's not one that everybody knows, but it has such a great little story to it. That when Elvis moved from Sun Studios, which is Sam Phillips, that's where he got his start recording, of course, in Memphis. And so when RCA bought his contract and he moved over to Nashville to the big RCA recording complex, of course, understand Sun Studios, if you've been there, it's about the size of your cabin here on this ship. I mean, it's just a small one-room recording studio where the drummer's here, the guitar player's here, the bass player's here, Jordanaires are right here, and Elvis stood in front of that microphone, and everybody played together. When Elvis went over to Nashville to RCA, they had booths, drummer DJ Fontana, he's cleared down around the corner in a booth. Jordanaires are down the hall. Elvis is all by himself in a vocal room. And the one song he wanted to get on his first album, he kept trying several times, but he couldn't get the feeling because he needed it to be very intimate. So after the recording, after they had all the other songs in the can, the song was called Love Letters.
Let's hear it.
And he said, okay. He says, to record this, he said, I want my piano player I want my piano player in the booth with me. I want the piano right here. So they brought the piano into the booth, and his piano player's name was, everybody knows, Shorty Long. Suppose that was an alias to keep from paying taxes. Shorty Long.
Sounds like a mobster.
So Shorty Long came in. And I want all the lights down. I need the lights down on this song. So he did this little song. It went something like this. Love letters straight from your heart. Us so near when apart. I'm alone in the night. When I have the words that you write every night. Memorize every line, and I kiss the name that you sign, and darling, then I read again right from the start. Love letters straight from your heart. Oh, yes. And so they nailed that on the first take, and that's history. So, yes.
That's fantastic. This is what we always do on my show. We want everybody out there who's going to be watching this every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock live from my mother's basement to know where you're going to be playing in the future, whether it's going to be on land or on ships. What is your social media? How can we find you?
Just kellygoodrich.com, very, very simply there.
Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, you're doing all that
yes,
craziness?
Yes, doing all that stuff, yes. You go to the website, and it takes you to all of that all those media outlets, and there's just countless things on there.
Good.
But as far as future, I'll be right here on Quantum of the Seas until November 1st, until we reach Brisbane, Australia. I'll then fly back to the States, and I will return to Harmony of the Seas, which will be out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, from November 12th through March 10th next year. So I'll be there for 4 months over the holidays. It's one of my one of my favorite ships of the fleet. I've done 17 ships, 29 contracts. I'm still trying to find those other ships I haven't been on yet. But
There aren't any. These are
but
the best.
no matter what ship I end up on, I end up seeing Mike one time or another.
I think I'm going to be on the Harmony around the holidays
Good,
myself, so
good.
we'll have to do a follow-up podcast.
Yes, we will.
Listen,
So-
I'm going to thank everybody, but I would like to close with a song. Can
Okay.
we do that?
Yes.
You would, an upbeat, like maybe
Okay.
Crocodile Rock or something
All
like
right,
that. Or if you want to do a Beatles or whatever you want to pick, we'll
right.
close to that song
All right.
and then we'll say goodnight.
All right. Let's
Right.
do a little Beatles. Everybody now. Desmond has a borrow in the marketplace. Molly is a singer in a band. Desmond says to Molly, girl, I like your face. Molly says this as she takes him by the... Everybody! Oh, blah, dee, blah, da, life goes on. Blah, la, da, 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 life goes on. Oh, blah, dee, blah, da, life goes on. Blah, la, da, 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 life goes on. Desmond takes a trolley to the jeweler's store. Has a 20-carat golden ring. Ring! Here's the ring to Molly waiting at the door. As he gives it to her, she begins. What does she sing? Oh, blah, dee, blah, da, life goes on. Blah, la, da, 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 life goes on. Oh, blah, dee, blah, da, life goes on. Blah, la, da, 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 life goes on. If you want some fun, sing a blah dee blah da.
Kelly, I
Oh,
can't thank
buddy.
you enough for coming on my
this has
show.
been so much fun.
The show can be seen every night at Tuesday nights. I'm sorry, every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock on every social media outlet you could think of,
Everything.
anywhere from YouTube, iTunes, Google, Spotify,
TikTok.
Anger, and we're on TikTok. Italian American Radio
Yeah.
out of New York City. Also, you could pick me up on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Patreon. All right. I want to thank our producer, Tatiana Blue Shell, out in California, for making this show possible. Thank you so much. And I end my show always by saying the same thing. Let's make America Italian again. Remember the motto: you don't know nothing, you don't see nothing, you don't say nothing. And we always say the same thing. You ready?
All right.
Don't take no shit from nobody.
Yeah.
Take us away, buddy.
Something from Sopranos for the closer. Yeah.
Hey folks, I hope you're enjoying watching my podcast live from my mother's basement. We're having a lot of fun and I'm going to have a lot of great guests on the show in the future. So if you like it, hit like. You could also leave a comment. You could subscribe to my YouTube channel and watch other funny videos. And you could also listen to my podcast on your favorite podcast app like Spotify and iTunes.